Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Hudak. All right, let's head down to New Orleans. Saints back on the practice field. They practiced Saturday. They had a day off Sunday. Back at it today. Maddy Hudak, our Saints correspondent throughout training camp, good enough to jump board with us again. Maddy, we appreciate it as always. How are you?
I'm good. Nice day inside for once, so not dying sweat over here for our training camp update.
I want to go back to Saturday to catch up, but let me just not bury the lead. Jameis Winston, we know, left practice today. What can you tell us?
So Dennis Allen said after practice that he had tweaked his foot, which isn't necessarily the best verbiage for fans kind of looking for stuff. Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football Network just reported that he doesn't think it's anything serious. He did finish, the drill that he was in before kind of going out to the side. You almost didn't notice. A lot of people thought, Delton was taking reps because of potentially, working more in the preseason, but it seems to not be that serious, just an unspecified foot injury at this point.
Okay. And the Saints, of course, this is their first preseason game week as they'll play the Texans this weekend. I don't know that we'll see Jameis, but I guess we'll get closer to that. Saturday, the no practice. Sunday, then back out today. Anything of note, just as a quick catch-up from Saturday?
They've kind of just been trying out a lot of looks specifically on defense, a lot of base with three linebackers, which kind of stuck out, and kind of some switching going on in the backfield. Pete Werner has been doing really well, and he's kind of been prominent out there. He switched at one point to kind of a cornerback snap and looked to be covering more in the slot today. And then, Justin Evans, who was kind of playing in the slot last week, looks like he moved more into a free safety role and really looked strong on Saturday back there.
Maddy, is there do you ever notice coming off of an off day if there's ever, or guys, lighter, peppier? Is it maybe a little harder to get going? Any observations like that?
Yeah, it's hard for me not to think of the weather as being a factor in this. I would say today was really the first day that you could feel the New Orleans heat the second you stepped out. For me at 7:30 this morning, it was pretty humid at that point. And so I was kind of thinking, this might be a muscle cramp kind of sluggish day. And lightning brought them inside about, 10 minutes into me arriving there. So that may have been where you might have seen some sluggishness, but it just seems really competitive. The one-on-one drills are still a really good battle. Wide receivers and defensive backs kind of winning, 50-50, I'd say. 7-on-7 drills and their red zone drills look really strong today as well. So definitely not a noticeable drop-off in competitive play. It just seems to be a really good battle between this really good offense and defense, which you almost take for granted that they have such good counterparts to practice against.
Maddy, you mentioned 7-on-7s. Michael Thomas participating again, I would presume?
That he did. He looks really good. He had a really good high point where he caught a pass against the Debo, who did look stronger against him today. We've seen him in the slot. We've seen him taking kind of those deeper routes and carrying them downfield more. So he just kind of looks like he's coming on more and more as the days go on. It doesn't seem like he's kind of doing that, time off and then time back. He really seems to be working in there and pretty normal workload, all things considered.
So he's obviously rounding into form, which is great to see. Last week, you and I talked about Chauncey Garner-Johnson, the sort of hold in that he's going through. Had an excused absence. He was back today?
Yeah, so Saturday specifically, he appeared to have, I believe Dennis Allen said it was some sort of personal matter, so he was excused from that day. But he was out there today. Bradley Roby did get some time with the one in the slot, but he had a lot of back and forth against Deontay Hardy. He timed breaking up a pass really well in the end zone. You can just kind of see, CJ has such good short area quickness and motor, and that's why he works so well in the slot. So to see him kind of against Deontay Hardy, who is super quick as well, they're really just chasing themselves, all over the place. But Allen said after practice, he thought, Garner-Johnson had a good practice. And considering he really hadn't participated in the past week, I would kind of say the same after kind of going back and forth with Deontay Hardy quite a bit.
She's on Twitter at Maddy Hudak _94, joining us each day that the Saints are in camp to give us our Saints camp report. Couple couple other things. When we talked on Friday, the Saints had signed Kiko Alonso. And I asked you, this could he maybe make the team, or is this just a camp body? Well, he goes through one practice and then retires again. They added Chase Hanson. So first of all, what do you know about the Alonso situation? What can you tell us about Chase Hanson as well?
Yeah, it seems like Kiko Alonso on one day outside and decided that was enough of the NFL. I think people discount the mental part of being out of the game for so long and trying to get back into it. I think of Patrick Robinson last year.
Yeah.
And, if your heart's not in it, it's really hard to get your body pushing through all of that. So I guess, Kiko Alonso had his day and was decisive in that. Chase Hanson was someone that he's on the team. He's on the practice squad sometimes. It has stuck out to me that they've used a lot of packages with 3 linebackers, given that they're, kind of seemingly bringing those guys in. And then lost Quan Alexander. But, Andrew Dowell and Caden Ellis, to me, have always been strong, solid depth pieces. And, they're also pretty decent at blitzing as well. I did notice last year a lot of the time Caden Ellis would come in specifically for that. And with Pete Werner really kind of coming into his own in coverage. He had really good run stops today. But I remember him being pretty decent at run defense last year. And they would kind of swap Quan in for those coverage spots. But he was covering in the slot today pretty well and doing a lot of blitzing on top of that. So I think Alonso is just kind of he works as a depth piece, but Chase Hanson has that familiarity. And again, for kind of lacking that depth, they've used quite a bit of them in practice thus far.
Do they have enough depth there, Maddy, or are they still going to be looking for more at linebacker?
It's hard to say. I think someone like Caden Ellis, Andrew Dowell, they could step in. If someone like Pete Werner got hurt, but I think if someone, God forbid, Demario Davis getting hurt, I don't really know how you solve that problem anyways, and it's probably not someone that's available to be rostered at this point. It does worry me, right? Because, that was kind of the intent of signing Quan last year, getting Pete Werner kind of onboarded a little more, but the only counter I say to that is the Saints typically tend to only employ 2 linebackers, so they should be okay there. But that's definitely a position that I kind of have watching and seeing if there are any injuries moving forward.
Last thing, can you give us an update on Latimore?
Yeah, so he was outside today. Briefly, he was working off to the side with the trainer, but when we went inside, we didn't see him anymore. That's really the first we've seen of him in a few days, so decent sign. And I've note, Alante Taylor has kind of moved into that slot, taking his first-team reps at right cornerback and did pretty well against Michael Thomas. So, I think as long as Latimore is ramping up to start the season, all it really shows to me right now is kind of what that depth gives you in that secondary, kind of like CJ Garner-Johnson's absence allowed us to kind of see Evans come into his own in the slot. Alante Taylor really did well today in that position. So, good to see him out there, but, almost even better to see the depth kind of holding up against, and this year it's not against, receivers that we can't really tell are they good or not. Alante Taylor can guard Michael Thomas. I'm pretty confident about him in general.
What an about face from a year ago where, what were we talking about Marquez Callaway as the number 1 at this point last year? Yeah,
we were all kind of focusing on that Robert Meacham catch he had and not realizing that was kind of the peak of excitement.
Oh, man. It definitely feels like light years away. Wait, one more. Taysom Hill. I didn't ask about Taysom. Has he been increasing the workload?
Yeah, he was actually involved in air drills today. He did catch a nice pass from Andy Dalton. He was wearing a red penny today, which kind of threw everyone off, but I think that's just so he doesn't get hit in the rib cage.
Got it. It's not he's not wearing a quarterback red jersey. It's just so he didn't get hit. Okay, Maddy Hudak, we appreciate it. We'll talk tomorrow.
All right.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.